Hey everyone, I am Lee Marie. This is my best friend Robin, and you are watching the Best Friends podcast. So, this is episode 2. If you want to go back and watch episode 1, we kind of just cover who we are, what we're doing, some questions and hot topics in health and fitness. So, go back and watch that one if you want. Thanks to everyone that left us a comment, shot us a message, sent us a question for today. So today on episode 2, we're going to be talking about relationships and friendships, and specifically relationship, friendship dynamics, friendship breakups, all those things, because we have quite a history of that. And we have been friends since when?
Well, I met you in January of 2020.
Yes.
And
Yep. So
then-
right kind of before the whole shutdown happened.
Yep.
And then we kind of got to know each other a little bit better after the shutdown when we started doing workouts at your house.
Yes.
So I would come up to your place and train a bunch of women.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
we called ourselves the Weekend Warriors, and we literally would work out in my driveway. Like, it was so funny. Oh my gosh. She would have us sprinting through the neighborhood.
Oh my gosh.
My
you
kids
did
would be
great
like
workouts.
looking out the window and be like, "What the heck, Mom?" I look at it, all I see is 10 women sprinting down the street. What were you running from? It was amazing.
It was good. We
Yeah.
did some good workouts. So I
Yeah.
definitely had some CrossFit inspired workouts. We had big sheets that I would write them down in
I still have
marker.
those sheets.
Oh my
I still
gosh.
have those sheets.
I love that. And I was also, I think you were my first nutrition coaching client
Yeah.
as well. So I did your nutrition. So we kind of, because we both worked for, or no, I worked for a company, like for a gym that you went to.
Yep.
And so, but it was group fitness. So I was everybody's coach, but then you signed up to work with me one-on-one with nutrition.
Right.
So we had interactions that were one-on-one. I was giving you goals. Then the shutdown happened, all the gyms closed, and we started doing this weekend thing.
Yep.
How many weeks did we do that before the gym opened again?
Oh, I would say we did it at least 3 or 4 weekends, because I think we were
At
only shut down
least, yeah.
a total of 6 to 8 weeks.
That's
So
crazy.
3 to 4 weekends, and then one of those, we did that virtual 5K, remember?
Yes.
And then we did like
Yep.
tacos at my house or whatever.
I
Chipotle.
remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. Then the gym opened up again. And when did you start working for the gym as well?
September.
Okay. So
Yeah.
we met in January. You were my client. It was like a coach-client relationship. You started working at the gym. And that's
But also, I think it's funny I know I said it last week, but literally was obsessed with this girl. Like, obsessed. Like, she was the best trainer, and I never worked out in group fitness. I never had a trainer, right? And so
what did you do before then? Did you go to the gym?
Literally
Okay.
walked.
Gotcha.
No, I never ever was part of a gym ever before this. And so, but literally immediately obsessed with her, right? Like, she was so good. But I remember the first time ever she called me by name. I'm like, oh my God, she knows my name. It was like total fangirl. God, I'm so dumb.
Oh my, no, that's true.
I
It's
literally
real
know
though.
everything about her. Like, I obsessively stalked her on Instagram. All the things.
My number one fan.
Always.
If you have any questions about me or want to be friends with me,
I got
you need to go through her. But side note from this story, we were just talking about this on our walk earlier today. I know you mentioned to me something about how you already knew everyone's name somewhere.
Yes.
And you had like a meeting with somebody and I was like, I already know all their names. And that is so impressive, guys. Knowing people's names, like just showing it back to like how much it meant to you that I called you by name.
Yeah.
And this goes across the line. If you're a coach in a gym, especially if you're teaching group fitness, if you're teaching anything to a big group of people or leading any sort of group of people or in any leadership position, or even just coming into a room and you know, like being part of anything that involves other people, know their names, get really good at remembering people's names. There's little tips out there, there's little skills you can learn, Google it, whatever, but just ways, come up with your own ways of when someone tells you their name, try and remember it and try and use it every time you see them, because there is something about when someone uses your name, you feel seen, you feel important, you feel valued. It's just great. And it makes everyone feel great when you use their name. So pro tip there. So I use your name. At this gym, we had heart rate monitors that were posted up on the wall, and like everyone's names are up there. So it's easy for me. But I did try to call people out by name at least once during every session. That was kind of my goal. And so you worked out with me for, you know, from January to September. In September, you interviewed for a job at said gym, which you got, and you worked evenings the same shift as me, right? Was that how it worked?
Correct. But in July, before I even applied for this job and knew we were gonna be working together in July, it was announced that she was going to be moving to a different location. I was devastated.
Wait, that was
devastated.
before you even started?
Yes. So then I applied for the job, got the job, and then I was like, okay, cool. I get to at least work with her for a few months because she didn't leave us until November. My birthday.
Oh my God.
By the way.
I don't even remember
your birthday at the new location was my birthday.
Wow.
So yeah. So anyway.
So we worked together and had a blast.
Yeah.
We did have a blast.
Yeah.
And I feel like I remember thinking like that I really liked you, but like finally I could like treat you not as like, because you do as a coach, you want to keep that coach athlete dynamic.
Yep.
And it is a little bit different. You want to be professional and you want to make sure that they are feeling like they're taken care of and they're getting a good service and all that kind of stuff. But then when you came on as like a coworker, I was like, oh, now we can really be friends.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. When all along my whole goal was I'm gonna make this girl my friend. Like no matter what. I didn't even when I first started working out this place, I never had a thought that I would work there ever, right? But I'm gonna make this girl my friend. I don't think it would have literally ever happened. I would have still obsessively stopped her. Wow. But then as soon as I got hired, she's like, okay, now we can actually be friends. I'm like,
okay. We love it. Okay. Yeah. So I didn't even work at that location for a year because I got promoted to a head trainer position at a gym way south from there. So we started up by your house in Northland. Yep. I moved out to Olathe to train there. And then I feel like it was sort of promised that you were going to come and work with me and you were going to drive to work with me. And so that was promised. And so I moved to Olathe. We continued being friends.
We worked out periodically when we could get together, but like it kind of, I mean, clearly we dropped off a little bit, right? Because your hours were crazy. And we didn't live near each other.
I remember though, like talking to you because the club manager, so she was the club manager, I was the head trainer. The club manager at my new gym was like an interim club manager and she was terrible, you guys. She was totally checked out, did not really do her job that great. It was just not the best. I feel like I'm already dishing dirt already, but it was fine. I loved her. She was checked out of that gym. She was opening her own gym. It was fine. She's great at running her gym. She just wasn't, her heart wasn't at my gym. So then I would always vent to Robin about like, I need this and I need this. And my club manager is not doing this for me. And so I was like, when are you coming here? Like, we just need you to come here. And then I remember, and this for me, this is the first time I remember being really pissed off at you. Which we're talking about everything, was when I found out that you were not gonna work at my gym. And the way that I found that out. So what something about this company that we worked for, the way that they communicated, the way that I would find out about things like challenges and deals and promotions and things was from the members, because they would make a decision and they would blast it all over everywhere. And I had no idea as an employee of the company that this was even happening. So I remember several times members would come up to me and ask about a challenge or ask about this promotion or that promotion. And I literally would have to pretend to know what they were talking about. I would have to bluff my way through the conversation. And then I would go try and find out about this promotion, or, ask, my superior, like the fitness director above me, like, what the heck is up with this challenge? What are we doing? And try and cover and be professional for this company. So anyways, the way that I find out that Robin is not, and you can tell me your side of the story too, but like, is not going to come to my gym with me, but she's going to go to another gym, is I saw it online. It was released. We're so happy to welcome Robin to go to this other gym at this other location. So she was not coming. And I was just devastated because I had been waiting for her to come work with me. And I find out through an email or through a post, I think it was an email to members, that you are going to a different gym. Was that how it worked out? I think that's how it happened.
I think that's how you found
Because
out.
then we were working out together shortly after at the gym.
Well,
And I was devastated.
so all of this went down, this big shakeup went down, when you were on vacation with your family in Florida. That's when all of it started to really go down, right? And this new opportunity was presented to me, but the way it was presented to me is you and I were going together. That's how it was presented.
Wow,
Because
okay.
I said, I'm supposed to be with Lee in Olathe at this time. Is that still happening? And they said, she's coming with you.
Wow, I didn't even know at that point.
That is the only reason why I agreed to it, because that was the first question I asked, because I wouldn't have gone had they not promised that.
So I found out that you were going. And then I don't even know how I got the offer, but it was after that.
Yes, it was after that. And you, because I didn't know that they had contacted you and you were on vacation. I was trying to leave you alone. So immediately when you got back from vacation, I'm like, have you heard the news? And you were super short with me. I'm like, she's pissed off. So I'm like, and so I told you what I was doing, hoping you would say, yes, I'm coming too. They offered me the same thing, but you didn't. I'm like, holy hell, wait a minute. So then I'm calling the people who promised the things. And there's like, yeah, we haven't presented that to her yet. Cool story, bro. You better get on it, right? And so there was a moment where I'm like, okay, this girl's pissed off at me, and now she's not coming over, and we're not going to work together. And all of this that we've been working so hard to get back together, it's not actually gonna happen. So
yeah. So here's that was the first time this happened, but this has happened quite a few times. And I want to say it was completely because of the environment where we were working in, but there was a lot of miscommunication, and then you make assumptions.
Yep.
That's completely what happened. So somehow we got worked through that. I think we kind of I think you told me that you didn't know, or you thought that you were coming over or something like that. And I was offered the job to come over with you. I was offered the choice, but to stay, because I had already, I think I was 6 or 7 months, or 5 months, I think, that I was the head trainer at the one gym that I did. And I adored those members, and I had a really good, strong bond with them. And I knew by switching over to this new location that I would be coming into an environment that was very hostile and very, angry with the shakeup because the shakeup had to do with them losing their head trainer. And I knew that the environment there, that everyone was very hurt by the way it happened, because it happened very sudden. And when you have a trainer, your trainer is your therapist too, even in group fitness, like you bond with your trainer, you know? And so even how you felt when you thought you lost me, you kind of get that. They just adored this head trainer. And when this head trainer was all of a sudden gone, they were hurt, they were angry, and the environment was very hostile. So it wouldn't have mattered who went into this gym. It was not going to be fun. And so I was leaving a group of women who absolutely adored me. I mean, basically worshiped the ground that I walked on, to go into an environment that absolutely, nothing personal to me, would have hated anyone that walked through those doors and tried to fill the former head trainer's shoes. So this is what was presented to me. On top of that, though, to sweeten the pot a little bit, besides it being to work with Robin, which I was just ready to do, I also got a massive raise. So the one thing about this job was we were paid very well. And so massive raise was thrown onto the table, better hours for me. I could kind of pick and choose my hours, but I was going into this environment to take over, and I was terrified, to say the least. But I'm a team player, and I knew that if anyone could go into that gym and make those ladies love me, it was gonna be me. So that was my whole goal when we moved over. And so then you and I decided we're gonna go into this gym and be there. And I remember going in there early. I think I met you or something. Yep. And just the feeling over that gym, just walking through the doors of this building, felt intimidating. It felt heavy. It felt like, what are we getting ourselves into? Yeah. And for the next, I would say at least 3 months, I drove to work with just a sick feeling in the pit of my stomach. And I really think that strengthened our friendship and our relationship a lot, because when you are friends with somebody where you have to go through something daily with them that's hard, it really bonds you, and you have a lot to talk about, and you complain about things, and you bond, and you have each other's backs in ways that, just a normal friendship of just getting together and doing things is not going to bring.
The one thing I remember about that, I remember all of it, and it was awful. Like,
is that, we will go into that in another episode.
But the thing that I remember the most is during that time, that's the first time we ever prayed together.
I knew as soon as we came into that gym that we needed to pray over that gym. We needed to cover it. We did it several times. I would pray all the way into work. Yep. And there are stories which we will tell on another episode, but as far as our friendship goes, there was a couple of times. I want you to tell the one story of us working there. I don't remember this happening, but she told this story the other day, and I was like, I'm sure that did happen. Like, you need to tell that story.
Most of the time we get along really well.
Yes.
Until we don't, and then we don't.
We're getting better at recognizing it, though.
Yeah, so much better. This time around, like, we got this.
Yeah.
We call each other on our bullshit.
Yeah, we do. Yeah. The other day, she was telling me off, like telling me about myself, and I needed to hear it, and all I did was it was a long paragraph, and I wrote back, okay. No explanation, what is the word? No punctuation. Okay, when you text someone with no punctuation, bad. Don't do that, guys. Okay, so I know some of that, and I don't want to be mean about this, but some of the older generation, not you, you're very good at this, but some of the older generation don't really understand texting etiquette. So if you say something like yes, but no exclamation point, or okay, but no exclamation point. If you put okay with an exclamation point, it's like, okay. If you put okay with a period, it's like, okay. Like, I feel like I'm in trouble. Well, I said that to her. I was like, okay, but I said it like that. And in my head, I'm like thinking really hard about what she's saying and considering it. And I was intending on writing another
Elaborating.
reply. Yeah, elaborating. I should have wrote dot, dot, dot. So that you knew I was thinking. But she totally straight up called me out on it. She was like, okay, when I feel like you say that, I feel like you're mad at me. And I was like, no, I'm not mad at you. I'm thinking about it. So we're very fast now about like,
Yes.
hey, when you said
Yes.
that, I felt this way. Well,
Yep.
we were not like that back then. So
Yeah.
this story
No.
she's gonna tell.
Yeah.
I think by this time we were things were a little bit better at this gym.
Yeah.
And so by the time we left this gym, they loved us. Like we totally won over these women. And when I left, like they didn't throw me a party, but they missed me. Like I did get a
They
lot
definitely
of
didn't throw me a
no.
party.
I got a lot of messages that I actually screenshotted and saved from members that were very toxic in the beginning and very hostile towards me, and actually like they never really addressed that, but they wrote me some really nice things.
Yeah.
So it was
Yeah.
really cool.
We
So-
worked really hard though. We worked really hard.
Oh,
to
I
change
cannot
the culture,
wait to go into this
to change
episode
the
about
environment.
this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So I think this little spat that we had, that's what we'll call it, happened probably, I think we were like 3 or 4 months into
Okay.
working together at this location. And I had a meeting at the corporate offices, a club managers meeting where they brought us all together and talked about all the things. And one of the things they were talking about was health coaching and how we were gonna give employees a discount for this health coaching, right? And I thought she'd be, we had just
I was the
introduced.
only health coach at this point, right?
And we had, yes,
Yeah.
and we had just introduced health coaching. She was doing it. It was gonna be brilliant, whatever. So I thought she'd be super stoked about that. So I'm like texting her in the meeting saying, hey, we're gonna do this for all the employees. So they better understand health coaching. I probably didn't say that part of it though. And man, this girl just goes freaking off. Like she's like screaming at me through text.
Well,
All
here's
capital
what I
letters.
hear. In the middle of my whole training thing, I'm exhausted already. My whole idea with health coaching was that it was going to make my job a little easier because health coaching was online. I was going to take on more of that. I was going to get paid really well for it. And then I get this text saying, hey, by the way, we're going to have you coach all of our employees for free in all your extra time. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. No.
She just went in though, like she went hard at me and I was literally only the messenger. It wasn't my
And she was so
decision.
excited about
wasn't I thought you would be excited because we would be educating everybody about this program that we're about to release,
Yeah.
right? So that was my intention behind it. And I literally was the messenger and I got like
I was
slaughtered.
so
Like,
mad.
She
I
was
was
so mad.
yelling at her.
So
over
then I
text.
just stopped texting her. Like we were done. Like that's how we do it. Like just done.
That's
like
it.
stop. I'm
Yep.
done talking about
Yep.
this, right? So then I get to work the next day. And she is notorious. I get to work. I get myself set up in the office. She's usually there before me. And she comes skipping across the floor and good morning, blah, 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 make some coffee, get some lunch, whatever. That day,
That's what I
she
usually
would come across the floor.
Nope.
Girlfriend would not make eye contact with me. We get about halfway through the morning and she sends me a text and says, are you mad at me? I'm scared to come in the office, but I'm really hungry. And I was mad at her. And then we talked it through. I explained my thought behind it.
Wait,
and the
why did
reason,
you text me back? Do you remember?
I don't think I did text you, but no, what did I say?
I feel like you probably would have said, "Come get food."
Yeah,
because
I didn't forgive her, but I actually don't know that she did anything wrong. You know what I mean? It was
Yeah,
just
it was
like
the perfect
major
storm, yeah.
miscommunication
Yeah.
between the two of us, and I felt like she was taking it out on me. That's what it was.
Yeah.
That's what it
Yep.
was. My feelings were really hurt, but I think her feelings
Yeah.
were equally as hurt. And at that point in our friendship, we did not recognize that in each other or know how to navigate it, I guess. So
Sorry.
no, safe.
I love that story, but that is such a great story of like misunderstanding,
Yep.
like literally not her fault.
Yep.
And like, I know that this has happened before. Like I've done this too, where like you get really excited about something and you expect someone else to be really excited about it and they get pissed off. And then
Yeah.
it's like, wait, what? Like,
Completely did not expect that at all, so.
okay, so then the next thing that I can think of is when you left me to move up to corporate.
Yep.
And I feel like I didn't know about that either.
You
Did I
didn't.
know about that?
No, but it happened just exactly the way the other thing happened. It happened super fast, immediately when Max.
Sorry, I'm trying not to say names on
anyway.
this podcast, but that's all right.
Disregard.
Disregard.
Anyway, when I got the offer, I immediately text you, but I had to say yes. Like in my brain, I was already like, yes, I have to do this because it was the next logical step for me, and
Yeah.
I wanted to get the hell out of where I was. Although we did work together and I loved that part of it, the rest of it, I never came to love that place. I never, like, it was hard always for me.
Well, we'll go into that whole.
Yep.
spiel
So I'm
later,
just
but
saying, like, the
awesome,
reason
yeah.
why I jumped as quickly as I jumped, not to get away from her. And my thought, and I don't know if she knows this, but my thought the entire time is I'm bringing Lee with me.
Yeah.
At some point, I will bring her over. We will get her over. But
Right.
she found out about it. I text her though. I text you about it, but within 30 minutes, you got an email about it.
Yep,
Like immediately, it happened that fast.
And not an email like, hey, just to let you know your club manager is leaving you. I got an email, all the members, hey, congratulations to Robin Winkler for this promotion, blah, blah, blah. And I find out when everyone else finds out. And that is what hurt so bad. And I think this time, yes, I did hear from you. So it wasn't like I was pissed at you, but I was just devastated. Like, this is why I left my amazing crew of girls at my gym who adored me, came over to this war zone for this girl, and now she's gone. And so, but hindsight, I got someone in to replace you, and like the one that replaced you, like I found myself thinking there is no one that I will ever like have as good of a time with as Robin. And the lady that came in to replace you, I mean, we're not like friends or anything. Like I don't still talk to her, but the amount of like we would die laughing in the office. We had such a great relationship. I had a blast with her. And so like I was very thankful. And she was a Christian too, so we would pray together. Like I could not have asked for a better replacement to help me get through that time. So it ended up working out really good. But
the last few weeks before I left, it was bad.
It was bad. It was
bad.
real bad.
You were real mad at me. I don't think you, my feelings were really hurt because I don't think you ever said congratulations. I think you were so sunk in your feelings that you couldn't be happy for me.
Nope.
The one time you told me you were happy is the day I left. It was and you said you were proud of me, and that meant a lot, but it was rough. So
yeah, that was real rough. So I think for me, I sort of was kind of like, well, okay, well, we'll let this go. And that has always been my view with relationships and friendships because growing up, I just I can look back through my whole entire life and see phases of friendships. And I connect with people really hard and I latch onto them and we're really, really good friends, but then they move on. And a lot of it was that when I was young, my parents did a lot of counseling with the college students. We lived in a college town. And so the college students that would come to my church, and then my church also had like a discipleship training summer program. So a lot of the college students that stayed in town to, like work jobs over the summer, they would do this discipleship training school and like we would hang out with them. They would come out to our house. We would have bonfires. My parents would have them over for dinner, things like that. And so I was always kind of like, I was kind of a cool kid. So like when I was even in like middle school, high school, I'd be hanging out with these college kids. Like they just hung out with us. And so me and my brothers, and then when me and my brothers, when I was 14, started this band and we were pretty decent for how young we were. So that kind of gave us like a little bit of a coolness factor, and we would play shows and we would hang out with these college students. Well, they would come into our life for like 1 year or like 2 years or like a summer, and we would be really, really great friends, and then they would just move away. And then we start touring, and the same things kind of happen. Like you go on tour with a band for 3 months, you get really close to those other bands, and like you hang out, you're really good friends. And then when the tour gets over, you're all like, oh yeah, we'll stay in touch. But like I don't really like that. Like I always wanted to just cut ties. Like we're not gonna be seeing each other every day anymore. Like we just cut ties and we just let it go and you move on to the next one. And so all growing up, that's kind of been my phases. And I've had these really good friends and then I just let them go. And that was really hard on a couple of my girlfriends growing up. Because for me, I was just always so secure and so close with my family that it was fine for me to let friendships go. And I remember having some childhood friends, and I'm just like going into this because this is about friendships and relationships, and this kind of is like with the dynamic with us. I had some childhood friends that when we graduated high school, like we were really close and we did sleepovers and all our birthdays together and all those things. Well, when we graduated high school and all went off to different colleges, it was like really important for them. Like whenever they came home, they wanted to like get together. And I kind of would start to dread it because I knew it was just going to be this long, drawn out thing of everyone bringing, like pretty much summing up their last whole entire year and then wanting me to do that. And I was like, I'm just tired of like seeing you once a year and having this expectation of you have to fill me up of your entire year and I have to fill you like I see you once a year. Can we just let this go? And there was there was some offense that happened with these girls because it was like I had one that like was out of the country going to school, and then she came back and I had something else going on and I couldn't like get together with her, and she was so hurt that I wouldn't make time for her when the one weekend she was in town, and I was just like, let's just let this go. And so that's been like my whole view of friendships. I've never really kept friendships for very long. And then just actually in the last couple of years, I've sort of had a couple of people that didn't let me do that. And they were like, oh no, I'm not. And one of them's you. And one of them is a childhood, like a high school friend of mine who still lives in Minnesota because she was my friend from Minnesota. And it's like the same thing. And I'm realizing how much I need that in my life. I don't need a ton of friends for a long time. I can have like I have my family and they're super loyal, but like in order for someone to stay friends with me, it's like that person has to be like, nope, you're not getting away. You're not putting up, you're not moving on. And so like when you moved over to corporate, I think I started thinking, well, we'll probably just move on. From that. And I don't know if you kind of felt those vibes for me during that time or not.
Of course I did. Of course I did.
That's kind of how I work through friendships.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, that was a phase.
I just learned all that explains so much. Like I literally didn't know that. So
Yeah.
that helps. That would have been nice to know 3 years ago.
Things are going to come up on this podcast. We just had a friendship breakthrough. Okay. But yeah. So you go over to the corporate side of things.
And then just 1 month later, she gets called over to corporate. So
yeah, the
And she was my
craziest
friend
call of my life.
that was
Yeah, we can talk about
another
that later
story.
too, but that was
Oh my gosh.
first time I pretty much scared my club manager by having a mental breakdown.
Oh my gosh, and she wouldn't answer my call.
Nope,
Like,
I was freaking
don't
out.
freak out. This is actually
Literally
a good
thought I was
thing.
getting fired. Nope, got promoted.
Exact opposite.
So that led us back to, we were back together, we were working together. That was then after that, I feel like we got real close.
Yep.
I don't know if you guys have ever been through a breakup. Now, this wasn't really a breakup, but every time, like if you ever go through a breakup, like with a boyfriend, or a girlfriend, and then you get back together, there is like, I think oftentimes there's like an accelerated kind of bonding that happens because you're both like, there's almost like this, I don't know why it happens, but you're like, you kind of go in this rapid phase of like connecting again. And it's almost like relief that you're back together.
Yeah.
But if you haven't ever addressed the issues that happen during the breakup, then, oftentimes it doesn't last.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's the same in friendships. Like when you're talking about relationships, the same principles work for friendships, for family, for moms and dads to kids, for siblings, and for boyfriend, girlfriend, dating relationships, husband, wife. It's the same basic principles. They just look different, right? And so, so we get back together. We're working together at corporate. We start doing business trips together. I mean, I can remember one business trip that I was pissed off at you. I forget why, but like we stayed in a hotel room together and it was a little icy.
I
You remember
remember
that?
what
I don't remember
happened.
why, but I think we talked it out on that business trip and learned that like I know I gave you permission to call me out and tell me to stop being a brat.
Yep.
And that's really good for me too, because when I'm pissed off, I don't need someone to come to me like I mean, not I don't need, but like I don't respond well to someone coming to me all emotional.
Yep.
But if someone comes up to me casually and goes, "Hey, stop being a brat.
Yep.
I need you to be a friend right now." That's how oh yeah, you're right. I'll change my attitude. Instead of somebody coming to me like, almost in tears, "Hey, I don't know what's going on. I feel like I hurt you, blah, blah, blah. I don't know how to deal with that." I will shut down.
She doesn't.
So I told Robin, I was like, "You have full permission to just tell me to stop being a brat." And I think you've done that a few times, but not like, I think only a couple of times when I actually was being a brat. And usually it's just joking.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was very important that I communicated that to you. And that I gave you permission to do that. Like, hey, just call me out if I'm ever being a brat.
Yeah.
And so, where do you want to go from here? Should we just skip ahead to the big one?
Yeah.
The big breakup. Okay, big breakup. So, and this just goes back to like misunderstandings and communication, basically. But a lot of it was, for you, well, actually for both of us, our hands were kind of tied. At least we thought our hands were tied with the situation. So I started getting treated not very well at this job, and it became like it became pretty clear to me that I needed to quit. There was just a lot happening that was not changing. It was out of my control. It was a very toxic environment. And I knew that I needed to quit. And it almost felt to me like I was being replaced already. And so for me, I'm thinking I'm going to quit before I get fired, or before I get myself into trouble, because at this job, there was a lot of people never left on good terms. They were always fired and sued. So I didn't want to end up getting fired and sued. So I thought, I'm going to be the first person to leave on good terms. I'm just going to say, hey, I need to move on. Nothing, no bad vibes with this company. Everything's great. I'm going to help the transition go very well, all this kind of stuff. And, but it was a big move for me because, I mean, we'll go into this later too, but like, this is the best job I've ever had, most money I've ever made, like huge. So my mom told me to ask the Lord for 3 signs to like confirmation. I got 2, and I knew the third one had to do with this girl because I could not imagine leaving her at this company. And I remember we, for some reason, hadn't really talked much. We were traveling a lot. It was not, I don't know if things were a little rocky with us or what, but you, for some reason, you asked to have lunch with me, and I thought you were going to chew me out for something. And
well, yeah, because you wanted to invite somebody else. You said, hey, can I invite so-and-so to come too? Yeah. And I said, I'd rather it just be us.
Yes. And she said it like that. Guys, I felt like I was in trouble, and she was going to chew me out because you actually were technically, I mean, we worked sort of different departments at the company, so not really, and never like took this on, but I think by then you were technically my superior at the company, but really you were just kind of a voice for
Yeah.
the owner of the company, the CEO. And so I thought, well, she's going to chew me out on behalf of the CEO. I'm in trouble for something, blah, blah, blah. This is always my go-to. If you ask to talk to me about something, I always think I'm in trouble. This is why when I got this huge promotion, I thought I was getting fired. Like I always think it's
That's
bad.
the biggest meltdown.
Oh my gosh. So anyways, we get together and you basically sat there and told me you thought I should quit. And I was like, the heavens opened. That was my last sign because I never, like, I was terrified of telling you that I thought I should quit. And you just said, hey, I think you need to quit. And then
Because I, at the same time, was starting to feel a lot of the same frustrations that she was, just in different areas, but I wasn't brave enough. You know what I mean?
to
Like
quit, to quit. Yeah.
I didn't
At that point.
at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and yeah, I think we had a lot of the same experiences. We will go into it. I can't wait to. But yeah, so anyways, we had lunch. You told me that and then you kind of helped me figure out a timeline and figure out how to do it. Like you helped me exit so well. And then you had my back. You also planned this little party for me to go away, like kind of under the table with a bunch of like the other trainers and people from clubs that I had like a good relationship with. We had this little lunch party. You got me presents and all this stuff. But like I noticed during the lunch that you were kind of a little bit shut down. And I was joking and talking with all the other trainers, and you kind of, I think, were maybe starting to feel like, oh, I better watch what I say because she's not going to work for this company anymore or something. I don't know. But I remember walking out after that, and you were like, hey, give me a hug. Come give me a hug. You're just going to leave without giving me a hug. And I thought to myself, that's so weird because in my head, that I was just going to see you next week and we were going to work out again. And I don't know what was going in your head, but at that point, I thought, is this like, is she saying goodbye to me?
Yeah.
What were you thinking at that point in the parking lot?
Well, that lunch was really awkward for me. I don't know.
I don't know why either.
Well, I mean, I, there were current employees that were at this lunch, and I felt like things were being discussed that was going to jeopardize either me or them if it got back to said boss, right? And you at that point were just like, F it. I'm, like, here are my thoughts, here are my feelings, this is what I'm gonna do. You guys should do this too. And that made it, I get it, but just my true actual feelings, I felt very uncomfortable. I think also knowing my position at that point and that there were current employees whom I invited, I know I did that to myself. But then just by the end of that, I just felt gross. It didn't feel good. I felt like you and I were like, I don't know. I don't know. I know why. It's because I was stuck, and that was by my own choosing. I felt stuck, right? And so one thing about me is I am loyal to a fault and sometimes to the wrong people. And so my loyalty stopped with you.
Transition.
And that guilt, I can't, like, but I recognize it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and it wasn't quite at that point, but that was kind of the start of it. And then I actually had a meeting with, at that point, I've been working really, really closely with one of our locations as the fitness director of this company. And the head trainer and the club manager at that position were really good friends of mine. And so they both asked for like follow-up meeting with me. So I went out with them and they told me, Robin told us not to talk to you. And that was like a stab in my heart. And I'm sure what you were thinking was like protection for them, honestly, because like I said, I tried to leave this company on good terms. Well, that didn't happen. And I was contacted by attorneys. And so I was not sued, but it was because I was a chicken. And as soon as maybe it was wisdom, I don't know. As soon as I was contacted by the lawyer, I just shut up and did whatever. And just like did not speak out about being treated unfairly or anything like that when I maybe should have, but I was just so scared because I'd seen this company go after employees and threaten them with, you know, lawsuits and things, and I didn't want to deal with that. And so anyways, you're probably just trying to protect them and me.
So, right, so, and that's not exactly how the conversation went.
Yeah, oh, I'm sure.
Just so you know.
Yeah, and we'll go into that.
And I did meet with them, and it was like, listen, you guys, if you, it was, I think I had found out, or Matt or somebody had found out that you had been in that location, and this was after you were done.
And I
Yes,
remember
you
that.
did coffee with them, and it was on Instagram. And it was like literally of you inside that club, right?
Okay.
And so,
Gotcha.
so and so got wind of that. So I go to say, listen,
Hey,
this is
not a good
what's
idea.
going on. You
Yeah,
guys, if you
yeah.
want to keep your job, I'm not
Yeah.
saying you can't talk to her, because I would never say that. I would
Yeah.
never say that.
Right. And so that's why but them telling me that, it was like, whoa.
Of
And that
course.
did it for me.
Yeah.
And we're probably gonna have to do a part 2 because this is
Yeah.
getting late. So I'm like, I think we're gonna end at the breakup, but I just wanted to like, that was kind of what did it for me. Like, wow, because in my head, like, yes, you explaining that, like, that makes total sense. You're trying to protect, and by like, because when the lawyer or when the attorney contacted me, it was like the lawsuit did have to do with me talking to employees.
Yep.
And so I'm sure, like, in a way you're protecting both of us, like,
Yeah.
because you're seeing the outside. But what I heard was, hey, your former really good friend at that point, just told us like we needed to, like, you're shunned by her.
Yeah.
And that's what I heard. And then that's kind of where it was like,
And I
okay,
get that.
bye. And then I got an email from you, and I replied to it in a very courteous but very professional
gross.
way.
It was so gross.
very, very professional. And then I got a reply from you that was just like, okay, got it. And it was like, that's it, we're done, that's the end, that's the breakup. And so
That's when I accepted it
this
too. I'm
is,
like, it was one of those things that was really good when it was really good, but now it's over, and that
this
was
is
just
the phase.
that
That was the phase of the friendship.
that
Moving on.
chapter's over.
It's over. Yep. So that is where we're going to end this episode, and we're going to come back with a part 2 and let you guys know. And we also have a couple of questions, so we're going to dive into some relationship questions in the next one. So stay tuned. If you've made it this far, comment below if you got anything out of this episode, if you have further questions, if you've been through anything like this, and we will continue with this story because it gets real good, you guys. It gets real good. Do you have anything else that you want to say before we're done?
No,
Okay,
we
guys.
just unpacked that whole lot.
We'll talk to you next time.